Good morning and welcome to today's session. My name is Mularo Nematayeni. I am a certified financial planner by profession, founder and CEO of EmpowerX Advisory Services. So for today's session, I decided let us kickstart the monthly money meeting. It's something that has always been in our agenda. And one thing that I learned in the past week is that if you want to do something, you need to start. So welcome. We're going to have an engaging session where we are going to be talking on the aspect of personal financial management, which is one of the key 6 areas when it comes to financial planning. So I would like you to introduce yourself. You can just type on the chat functionality. I see there's already a good morning, everyone, from Brenda. So you can introduce yourself in the chat. Just great, tell us where you're joining us from, and then we'll attend to those and then acknowledge you as we continue. So today's session is our very first monthly money meeting. And in this meetings, we're going to be talking about money and focusing on different aspects of financial planning as we go. I decided that today we start with my favorite one, which is on budgeting, because I believe that budgeting is the foundation, it's the starting point when we do our financial planning. So we're going to go through a few slides, and thereafter we're going to do the practical aspect of budgeting. There is a template that we have, which we call it My Financial Journey template, and I will happily share that with you as we continue. I see we've got Mama Khadi Honoti from Pretoria. You're most welcome. We've got Moiponi Ndlovu from Maseru, Lesotho. Thank you for joining us, Moiponi. We've got Feziwe, who is joining from Benoni. Chiriudo from Johannesburg. You're most welcome to this session. I know most of you that have joined here in our inner circles, either in the book club and also colleagues within the industry. So you're most welcome, and let us engage and let us share. So feel free to also chip in, share what you know, and if there's any money tips that you would like to share, you're most welcome to share with us so that we can learn together. So basically, this is a space of learning and for us to get this money thing right. It's April. I did say this morning that it's a Freedom Month, and with financial freedom, I wanted to know, is it a human right? Is it something that we believe everyone can attain? And then those beliefs are also critical when we do our budgeting and manage our spending. Thank you for joining us, Brenda from Kempton Park. And then we've got Mukona, who is joining us from East London. So to kickstart this session, there's an agenda where we are going to be talking about budgeting. We'll touch on why we do budgets and then the types of budgets. And then later on, we'll get practical on how to create a budget. So as an introduction, I did say I'm Mularo from EmpowerX Advisory Services. And in EmpowerX, we believe in our clients' ability to manage their finances. So this session is simply to empower you through education so that you can make informed financial decisions. And as EmpowerX, our vision is taking financial literacy education to our communities. Budgeting. So budgeting in itself is a process of creating a plan to spend your money. And people don't like talking about spending. It's always one of those aspects where if we're talking money, we're talking about saving it, investing it, and the different options that are available. But I believe that in the center of financial planning, there is the spending of money, because we get to spend money on needs, we get to spend money on wants, where needs are the things that we cannot live without, and wants are the things that we can live without. And someone once mentioned that everything that we spend money on is a need, because we're fulfilling that desire, or we're fulfilling that that need, if I can put it that way. And we just need to prioritize which one takes priority when it comes to these needs. So as we continue, there are different reasons why we do our budgets. And these reasons can differ from one person to another, but the three that I've put here why people have a budget in place is because the budget helps you to stay focused on what you want, which are your financial goals. It helps you to know where you are spending your money, so the track your spend, and then it stops you from overspending. And then if there's a need to change the financial behavior, then you're able to see it and then make a critical decision in terms of changing that particular behavior. So what are your reasons for having a plan for your money? What are those reasons? You're most welcome to engage and share on the chat. I see there's a request there from Chiriro saying, can we please record the session? The session, it's being recorded. We're streaming live to our Empower X Advisory Services YouTube channel. So I'll also share the link for those that would like to revisit this at a later stage, or those that were not able to join us this morning. And thank you for that input, Mr. Siparani. And then, why do we budget? So when it comes to budgeting, it's important that we know in advance whether we'll have enough money for the needs and wants. And it also assists to prioritize the spending and then spending that money on what is important to you. I underlined the words to you because even this aspect is part of personal financial management. So we're talking about something that is important to you, not to the next person. My budget could have things that I deem as important, whereas to another person, they see that as a want. So it is important that even when we do our budgeting, you would look at what is important to you and then be able to live according to that. One of the reasons that it has been shared now on the chat is that to be able to live within my means. Yes, that's a critical one because with limited resources and things that we would want to achieve, there's always that need to be able to live within our means so that we do not overspend or end up in debt. Other reasons could be to save money, to reduce overspending, and to get out of debt. And as we continue, it is critical that you think about those items that form part of your budget. So those are what would be important to you and also relevant to you. There is so many things that are available that people spend money on. So you can just share on the chat functionality what you spend your money on. I'm just typing it as a question to say, what do you spend your money on the chat functionality? This might seem like a simple question, but most people, when it comes to managing their finances, they're going to come and say, I don't know where my money went. And the good thing about money is that it always leaves footprints. So you'll be able to follow the trail and see what you did with your money. Thank you, Mopani, for that input to say that we do this for financial discipline. And discipline when it comes to finances is another critical thing that we need to work on. There's different ways that one can use to instill this discipline, and then we'll chat about some of it as we continue. So with budgeting, there is different types of budgets. So you need to decide on what type of budget suits your need. The two that I'm going to explain on now, it's a zero-based budget and a 50-30-20 budget. So with a zero-based budget, you are saying my income minus my expenses is equal to zero, and then the rest is allocated to saving or to your financial goals. So with this one, to give us an example, if I earn 10,000 a month, and then I do my calculations, and then my expenses come up to 8,000, then the moment I plan for my money, I'm planning on the 8,000. I don't plan on the 10,000 because I'm using a zero-based budget. So in my mind, I know I earn 10,000. However, my planning is on 8,000. So I say my income minus my expenses should equal to 0. So the 2,000 that I will get when the money comes in, I take 2,000, I allocate it to saving, or I allocate it to financial goals. If it's repayment of debt, I remove it from my accounts, put it aside, and then I know that everything that I'm doing is based on the 8,000. So this is a restrictive form of budget. It helps to avoid overspending, and then it can assist you to meet your financial goals, such as a debt repayment. And a similar aspect to this one, it's when people use envelopes, just that now we keep our monies in the bank. But if you were to go and withdraw your money, then you would put them in envelopes and say, for grocery, this is the 2,000 that I need. For the school fees, this is the 1,000 that I need. For transportation, this is the 800 that I need. And then once all those envelopes are filled with the amount that you need for that particular line item, then whatever is left then gets allocated to the goals or to savings. And I know this sounds good on paper, but if you don't start and if you don't get practical with budgeting, you're going to be asking yourself, where did my money go? Whereas there is trail in terms of where and how you've spent your money. And then the second one that I'm going to talk about is the 50-30-20 budget. So this one, there is different varieties of the 50-30-20. We had a Global Money Week project in the past 2 weeks, and then with smaller children, their 50-30-20 was that 50% you save, and then 30% you spend, and then the 20% you share. So with children, they've got limited needs and wants that they're spending their money on. So we encourage them to save more. So 50% and 30% they can spend. And then the 20% has to do with sharing. So encouraging Ubuntu and living amongst other people. So that is another aspect. But this is something that the sharing, let me speak a bit into that. It's something that we even practice even today. There's people that donate to charities. There's people that take their 10% to church or to different organizations that resonate to what they believe in. So that sharing, if one learns it while they're still very young, they can continue with it going forward. In terms of what we can look at as the 50-30-20 now, 50% can be for your needs, 30% to your wants, and then 20% on saving. So this type of budget requires discipline, and you might end up spending irresponsibly in some areas. So if your income is less than your expenses, then or just barely covering your expenses, a zero-based budget would be one that you can spend, that you can choose to use. But this one that is 50-30-20 is good if your income is more than your expenses, and then you've got money that you can allocate to wants and to saving. And with this one, there's the aspect of automating, where you can automate your saving and then ensure that the moment the money comes in, the 20% is debited, or there's a scheduled transfer that is going to another account of savings. And then you can use a different account to say, this is my spending for the needs, and then this particular one is on things that I want. So as you can see, budgeting is not all restrictive. It allows you to reach your goals, and then depending on what you decide to spend money on, you will be able to see where you can save money, how you can spend money to your benefit. So I'm just going to the chat to read some of the things that people spend money on. Bonnie says on food, clothing, education, and acquiring assets. And then Robert says, I think I'm too generous and give money to almost too many people. You can give money to us, Robert, it's fine. It's important that as you do that, you know how that is impacting your financial position. Because as I always say, every decision is a financial decision. So even when you are giving money, you must know how is that affecting you on your financial position. Spend money on food. Yeah, Brenda and me are best friending. I'm like, we're just here to work and buy food and eat. But there's other goals that we can look at. There's debt repayment, there is giving, and then Mama Khadi says spend money on debt repayment and investments. Thank you so much for contributing and sharing. And even for someone to even write it down to say I spend money on debt repayment. Some people will never say that because we want to act like we don't have debts that we are servicing. But the moment you talk about it, you acknowledge that it's there, and then you've got a plan in place that you are doing to repay that particular debt. And when we train on financial literacy education, one of the questions that we ask around debt is, do you want to get out of debt? And it's a question that sometimes gets a no, depending on the type of debt, and then sometimes it gets a yes. So different people have different ways of responding to that question. But we will have a session on using credit wisely as part of our monthly money meeting, when we'll talk more on debt and how one can structure that plan. So look out for the next monthly money meeting, where we'll touch on that particular topic. So now we come to the dark screen, create a budget. So it's simply 3 steps. And you would wonder why people don't create their budget, because it's not even a lot. The first one, you list all your income. So your take home pay or net pay. And then the step 2, you list your expenses. And to start off with, you can take your 3 months bank statement to ensure that all expenses are reflected. And then for instances where you are using cash, it's a matter of keeping track on those particular expenses. So we also have another tool where you can use as a spending tracker, where you'll be able to see and also record what you're doing with your money on a day-to-day basis. And then the third step is income less expenses. And then we see, is it a surplus, is it a deficit? And then what is your position? So this is a question that you can answer for yourself. And then as you do that, is it a negative position? Is it a positive position? And then we can explore what one can do with that. So that is my presentation on budgeting. And then budgeting is one aspect of financial planning. So with financial planning, you define how your financial future look like, you plan, and then you start on your financial journey. And then when we talk about having a financial plan, financial planning in its entirety has 6 different areas. There's the personal financial management, where we are looking at your budgeting, using credit wisely. We're looking at understanding concepts as savings and investments, and also understanding banking, because that forms the foundation. There's tax planning, where you're looking at how tax affects each decision that you're making with your finances. We live in a tax or financial planning environment where tax is an issue. It affects you. Either you're just buying something, there is VAT that is included. Either you're making a decision about taking your pension when you are resigning from work, on changing jobs, there is tax. Even when you go out and retirement, there is tax aspects to it. So you need to understand how tax affects those decisions that you're making. Risk planning and insurance. So you're able to see how well protected you are in case of something going wrong. So that is risk planning. Retirement, that's when you're planning for your retirement days. So you can plan for retirement. You can also plan at retirement when you're retiring. There is investment planning, where invest for different goals and needs. There's estate planning, where we're looking at structuring your estate in such a way that is tax efficient. And then you're also able to transfer wealth to the next generation. So that is what financial planning is. And with budgeting, a budget is a living document. We spoke about income, we spoke about expenses, but my favorite part is when we compare the budget and the actual. And then we're going to get practical and then be able to assist you on this journey and also show you the resource that you can use in order to do your budgets. So that is the end of my presentation. So if you've got any questions, you're most welcome to unmute, ask the question, and then you can also use the chat functionality to type any questions that you have around the presentation that we've just had. I'll be sharing the screen with the spreadsheets that you can use for budgeting, and then after the questions, we will be able to move to that one. So you're most welcome to unmute, ask questions, engage, or even share some of your tips that you have around this aspect of tracking your spending, budgeting, and also the tools that you are using and what is working for you at this point. Thank you. Okay, we are going to continue. I've just shared here my monthly budgets template. This is part of the templates that we use on the financial journey. We say it's my financial journey because we want to make it personal, make it practical so that you can relate and also select what is important for you. So with this template, there is the monthly budget template. That's the one that we're going to go through now. And then there is a debt repayment or debt management. And then on this one, we'll go through it when we do the using credit wisely, where you're able to list your debts and then what's happening and then deciding on which strategy to use in order to get out of that. And then there's also a net worth calculation. So this is my favorite, where you list your assets. Approximately 2. And then you're able to decide in terms of reducing the liabilities or increasing the assets. And then the other one here, it's the financial goals, where you list your goals and then you put them either as a short-term, medium-term, or long-term, what you've saved, the goal amount, what you've saved so far. And then as you do the numbers here, the spreadsheet will do the calculations for you to be able to see how much more you still need to save for this particular goal. So what I love about this is you can see it, and then as you make decisions, you are able to see how that is affecting the rest of your financial plan. So coming back to your monthly budget. So here you'll write the month for that particular budget. And as I said, a budget is a living document. So you should be able to update it on a monthly basis, or if needs be, if it's a weekly basis, then you can do that. You can just change it to say it's a weekly basis, but you choose a time frame that suits you. And you also decide on a date, and then you stick to it on a monthly basis to say, this is when I will have my monthly money meeting, because I need to check my actual and my budgeted. So I will use an example here. Forecasting means it's something that we're planning for in the future. So you do your budget before you get paid, because I know a different personality comes out with most people when we talk about money, and then payday, they just say, yo, if I look at my bank statement the day after payday, I'm a totally different person, and there's something that just pulls me from home and takes me to town and to the mall. But when you've got that budget, it's going to remind you what it is that you plan for your money. So when we're still planning, you can say I earn 10,000 as an income, and then if there's any extra income. And on extra income, some people don't like to disclose these things, but more especially when I'm doing trainings with the students, mostly with universities, I tell them the budget is not just a plan for your money, it's a plan for your life, because some of the incomes that we get also tell us about the life decisions that we're making. So if there is extra money that I'm getting, I can put it there, and then I'll be able to see what is my total income. So extra income can be a rental income, it can be an allowance, it can be many different things. With universities, they're like, we get money from gambling. So you put those things, or we get money from our lovers. You put those things, and then as you assess it, you assess your life to say, is this the kind of things? Okay, I was just reading on the chat to say, are you willing to share the budget template and how to access it? If that's the case, yes, I will share the budget template. So after this session, I know you all joined from the link that we shared on the group. I'll also share feedback form there, and then you will input your email addresses, and then we'll share the templates with you once you've completed that feedback survey. I didn't want to do the people sign up beforehand, because sometimes a person signs up and they don't come to the session, and then you keep communicating with them, and then it's things that they're not interested in. So with this, I want you to say, I want this thing, because when you say you want it, then you are there in that level where you're going to use it. So I will gladly share this thing with you. So for example, this is the actual, you can see nothing has changed here. And then when you come to what actually happened, say you earn your 10,000 here, and then it will update to say it's 10,000. So that's the money that you're working with. If on the extra income you didn't get 2,000 but only got 1,000, then when you input there, then it will show that the actual balance that we're working with is 11,000. So forecasting and actual. So if I am paying 2,000 Rand on rental, that's what I planned for. And then my phone, I pay 500 Rand, electricity, I spend 300. So you will input what is relevant for you at this point. And then when it comes to the actual, say I pay my 2,000 here, so here it will show the difference is 0, but because we had 11,000 and then we took out 2,000 in actual expenditure, this will update to 9,000. And then the phone, instead of 5,000, I spend your 500, I spend 600. So it will show here that there is a negative difference here that you would need to go and check out. Electricity, let's say I spend 250. Okay, that's supposed to be, yeah, it's correct. So it's green because I spend less than what I had budgeted for. And this one is red because I spend more than what I had budgeted for. So with this, you can see that there's different ways of doing budgets. Some people would say you start with your fixed expenditure, what won't change for you. You've got variable expenditure, what might change on a month-to-month basis, and then you've got a section for emergencies that might come up. Others would say you categorize it in terms of the different types of expenses that you are incurring. So on this one, this is categorized in terms of what you're incurring. The first one here is on housing. So with housing, these are expenditures that are related to housing. And then for transportation, if it's a vehicle repayment, if you're using a taxi, Uber, if there's any insurance, licensing. So this is the things that you would put for transportation, and then insurance, insurance for your house, your health insurance, medical aids, any life insurance, then you can put it here. And then food, is it takeout, is it groceries, is it any other, then you can include it here. And then some people have pets. And if you're using a spreadsheet that is not as comprehensive as this, it's something that you just put aside or include it on your groceries. But now this one allows you to see how much am I spending on my pets, for food, for medical, for grooming, for toys. And these things might change on a month-to-month basis, because you can just say, this month I'm buying my pets some toys, but the following month you might not be buying the toys. So your planning for different months will then differ. There's personal care. So things like doing your nails, dry cleaning, those kind of things, health clubs, everything that has to do with your personal care. And there is the debt repayment section, where it can be the repayment of a vehicle, repayment of a bond, child maintenance. So you choose what is relevant to you at this point. And then as you can see, the projected cost, the actual cost, so it shows you what was the actual expenditure on this side. And then coming to this one, entertainment. So what are you doing for entertainment? So you can also edit here. I know some people pay so much for Netflix, some people pay so much for DSTV, for data. And then as you come back to this, you're able to see where do I need to make changes? Where do I have major differences? And then the loans, so your personal loans, your student loans, your credit cards. So this is something that you are able to edit on. So you can say loan from my mom, if you have received a loan from your mother, and then if you've got other things, then you can just edit here. If there is more than one personal loans, which is usually a reality for some people, then you can just say, this is a personal loan with Bank A, and then there is a personal loan with Bank B. Just don't want to mention the banks, but you know where you've got your personal loans, the credit cards, and then you're able to see what is the actual and forecasted. But we'll talk more on this when we have a session on using credit wisely, helping you understand the different types of products, because some people even struggle with understanding how an overdraft works, or how a personal loan works, and also the difference in the interest rates, the calculations, and it not looking like it's going down because of the rate increases. I was laughing, saying that the bank is going to communicate and say, hey, you saw what the Monetary Policy Committee did, so this, we are going to increase your interest rate. So it's things that we need to know so that we can make those informed financial decisions. Different savings, there is gifts and donations. And here you can also, I spoke about sharing that time, and you can also include the money that you give at church, the offering and the tithing, because some people, they don't record those things, they don't see it. So if you're saying, I offer 50 Rand every single week when I go to church, that 50 Rand multiplied by 4, that's 200 Rand. So you need to record those things and see how much that amount is coming to. For some people, they give a donation to church, and then it's like 5,000 that they're giving to church. You need to record it and see how it's affecting your finances. Maybe you're in a position where you can actually give more, or maybe you're in a position where you need to prioritize some of the expenses and some of the needs on your personal financial plan before you can extend your hand. So those are some of the things that you can look at. On the legal side, there's things like attorney fees, child maintenance, payments in terms of judgments, and any other. So yeah, this is the spreadsheet that we'll share that one can use to do their budget. And the important thing about budgeting is actually making these recordings. No problem. So those that are living, you'll be able to view the recording on our Empower X Advisory Services YouTube channel. There's a comment there to say one of the challenges is when people relate their hard work and spending habits. Example, I work hard, I need to reward myself. How can one draw the balance? The budget is one thing that will assist you to draw that balance, because you will have a section of entertainment where those drinking habits or those celebratory habits can then be accounted for. I had a coaching session yesterday with one of my colleagues in the financial planning space. And our coaching conversation was around budgeting. And when someone is struggling to keep to their budget, the discipline, and we also explore the different ways in which one can then draw that balance. And for some people, they need further assistance, they need professional help. And as we have these sessions, I'm glad you brought it up, because there's also concepts of money disorders, where things like your addictions and then your spending habits that are out of control need to be looked at properly. Things like gambling. I know we'll talk about gambling in this monthly meetings. I always make a joke to say, hey, those pink receipts, that's before they used to do their gambling on their phones. They would go and buy the tickets, and you're just chilling with your partner. And then next thing, the mood changes. And then you're like, what's wrong with this guy? And then next thing, it's because one team didn't win a particular game, and then now he lost his money. And then, so those things, we're going to talk about them because they are part of our day-to-day relationship. So that was one of my experiences when I was still younger, still in Richards Bay and dating this guy. And the next thing, the mood just changes because one of his receipts is not going to win. So those are things that people are still experiencing on the day-to-day basis. And I like us talking about own experiences that people can relate to, and things that other people are still going through now, so that we can find better ways of assisting one another. So thank you, Mr. Sparali, for sharing that. There's a question here, Moraro, I do not see provision for black text, as you know, our family setups. Yes. So as I said, this is going to be different for each and every person. So this is not comprehensive. There's other things that you can add in. So another section, you can just change what is not relevant to you. I know when you say our family setups, most of our family setups don't even have pets. So you can just say family responsibility, and then it can be to your mom, where you're giving them money, and then the sisters, and then their education. So things like that. And then sometimes we also have to make provisions when they travel to come see us, or when we go and see them. So we can put it as black text or as family responsibility. Yeah, whichever. Let me just mute. Whichever would work best for you. But this is something that you can chop, change, put what is relevant for you. That's why during this session earlier on, I asked the question of what do you spend your money on, because spending is what is going to get us to the budgets. And it's not figures that are coming out of somewhere. These figures are what makes up your budget based on a day-to-day spending. Let me just speak a bit to those that are in the business space. When we spoke about the personal budget, but also in businesses, there is budgeting where you do something similar on a month-to-month basis. You check what it is that we would need to spend money on this particular month, and then the actual, what is it that we spent money on, and then what income did we get, and where did we get that from? And then this information that you're using on a month-to-month basis as your budget is what will make up your financial statements. So this thing, Yotzi, I'm calling the accountant, and then next thing in the evening, I get financial statements without even providing information, and then you sign that is accurate. I think as we have more engagements, it needs to come to a stop, because your expenses on a day-to-day basis is what becomes part of the budget. It's what becomes part of the management accounts. It's what becomes part of the financial statements. So on a personal side, there is what we call a personal balance sheet, where everything that is happening will now translate to the accumulation of assets and liabilities. And then with that, you are able to see what is my balance when it comes to assets that I've acquired, what is the liabilities on that aspect. And then this, if you look at it, it's equivalent to your income statement, where you're looking at what is my income, what are my expenses, and then at the end, am I on a positive or am I on a negative? So that is budgeting, spending and budgeting from me this morning. So if you have any comments, you are most welcome to share on the chat functionality. And if you've got any questions, you are most welcome to unmute and then ask, or you can also raise your hands and then we'll recognize you and then offer you the platform to then engage. And it's not just the questions that we're looking for, we're also looking for inputs and tips and what is working for you when it comes to managing your finances. There's a comment there, now I need to be taught on avoiding cash loans and mashonista. So you need to make sure that you join in on our next monthly money meeting, because we're going to be talking on using credit wisely. And then also we'll also do a calculations where you get to see the cost of credit, and then how much this cash loans and machonistas are costing you, and how they do their interest rate calculations, and what you are giving away, even on that. Sometimes it's the first 5 days or the 5 days before payday, and then people will be like, give me 500, I'll return it as 600. So you are spending so much. I'll go to the chat functionality, and then thereafter I will allow for you, Alina, to comment. So it says, your advice, please. I realize that I spend a lot on bank charges due to withdrawals. What is the best way withdrawals and chunk of money continue with constant withdrawal? How do I account for that in your budget? So in your budget, you account that as bank charges. So you can just add it somewhere here. Wouldn't be taxes, but you can add more columns here and then add as bank charges that is relevant to your withdrawal. So when it comes to withdrawals, there was going to be another section that we will do. I did say that our financial literacy education is divided into 4 parts. The first part is on spending and budgeting. The second one is on using credit wisely. The third one is on savings and investment. The fourth one is on understanding banking. So with banking, there's something that we call a pricing guide. So I would just say, to start off in that journey, go to your website, the bank's website, go and download a pricing guide. It will tell you how much they're charging you for withdrawals. and then there will be different options that are available in terms of the accounts that you can use, and then different accounts have different limits or different provisions where they say if you withdraw this much, then you can withdraw for free, and then we'll start charging you from this much. So that's something, that's an exercise that you can start off with, and then select the best one that will suit you, and then also a discussion on what you are spending this money on, or the need for this particular withdrawal. It's another discussion where we can look at other alternatives, because sometimes people withdraw money because they want to spend or pay people that don't have bank accounts, or spend in places where they don't want to be to have a link to that. So it's a discussion that I'm happy to take offline. So yeah, let me go to you, Alina. You're most welcome to unmute and then contribute, and then we'll come back to the chats after.
Okay, thank you very much for the opportunity to speak. I just want to start by saying thank you for the session. Thank you for the work that you are doing, because financial literacy is really something that we should all have. We should all have the knowledge on how to manage our money. But unfortunately, this is not taught in school or anywhere else. We just have to find out for ourselves. So just, yeah. Second point is just to encourage everyone who has tuned into your session to just say, you know what, for everyone that is doing well financially, they started by doing the work. So, I mean, financial planners like Molalo can only do so much. They can only share what they know. But at the end of the day, we have to go back and look into our finances to say, how are we spending our money? Where are we wasting money? Let's look at that. When they advise us, okay, do this, cut here, cut there, let's not be stubborn. Let's not, not want to do the work, because it comes from us. No one can force us. So yeah, I just felt that I should come in and just make that comment to say, let's go back and do the work, look for the information. It's there, it's everywhere. So yeah, that's just my comment for the day. And I hope that we can all do that and find ourselves on the other side of financial freedom, and just be free to use our money the way that we want, because we are educated and we have the tools to do so. And we have professionals like Molalo to check in. If you want to do something before you do it, check in with them. They do charge something, but it's better than, wasting money. So yeah, that's all I have to say. Thank you, Molalo, for the opportunity.
Thank you very much, Alena, and also for the encouragement, and also reminding us that there is work that we'll need to do in order to get things right. Leboseng, you're most welcome to unmute and comment or ask, and then we'll go to the chats.
Thank you very much for a wonderful presentation, Me. I'm Dibuseng from Lesotho. I would like to respond to the question in relation to how someone can manage the bank fee.
Mm-hmm. I am struggling to hear you from my side. Can anyone comment if they can still hear her?
If the maximum number of withdrawals is 4, they can withdraw 4 times, but if he exceeds the 4 times, then that is when he will be charged. So maybe he can go to the consultant inside the bank, find out the maximum number of withdrawals he can make per month, and then stick to that number. Unless maybe if it is something that is outside his control, then he can exceed the number, but bearing in mind that there's going to be a charge. Thank you.
Thank you very much for that input. Just to reiterate, she's saying that with some accounts, they tell you how many times you can withdraw at no cost. So if it's 4 times, then you can plan your withdrawals to ensure that you don't exceed that those 4 withdrawals. with some banks, like I mentioned earlier, they give you a rand amount to say you can withdraw up to 10,000 for free on this account. And then on this next one, it'll be 20,000. And then you can choose which one would work best for you. So thank you very much for that input. Coming to the chat's functionality, Mama Khadi says, every time I think I've got this, there's another valuable information from you, Muraro. I've started this journey, but still have a long way to go. And the good thing is financial planning and financial literacy is a journey. So once one is aware of the journey that they're on, and then they've put a plan and also set days to say, okay, I've got this loan, now it's sitting at 20,000. If I repay X amount every single month, and then if I have extra money, I put in there, then I know that this is where it's going. Or I've got this trip that I want to take sometime in November this year, and then I'm going to need 32,000 for it. So if I put X amount every single month, then I'm able to achieve that goal. So the most important thing is being present in your money-making decision points. Thank you for that comment. And then there is a question, when is the best time to do this budget? Say payday is the 25th of every month. When do I do the forecast and when do I do the actuals? So it's up to you to decide on what works for you. I'm the kind of person that works best on calendar month. So starting from the first to the last day of the month, that's what works for me. And then I'm able to then say, this is my January forecast, this is my actual expenditure on this particular time period. Other people, they do it for the day before payday, because at that point, you are choosing to be present, the money is coming in, and then it helps control that other person that comes out when the money comes in, and then it's still fresh in your mind, okay, we're getting paid tomorrow, but these are the things that the money should go to. So the moment the money comes in, you've got that plan in front of you. It's something that you worked on the day before, so you can quickly channel the money to places where it needs to go, and then continue without having to deal with another personality that comes out. There's a comment, thank you for sharing with us on how to put together a detailed budget template. I have my own template, but it's not as detailed as this one. One thing that I didn't take into consideration is the banking charges that come with every transaction. Yes, so bank charges, we need to account for those as well. And then with some, as you choose, we will talk banking, you will see that there's bank accounts that allow you to pay one monthly fee, and then there's bank accounts where you pay for every transaction that you are doing. So it's important to understand banking and choose which one suits you best based on what you are doing. There are people not permanently employed in income on occasional basis. Can you guide as to how they can draw their budget? So even if you're not earning money on a permanent basis, the budget is a plan for your money. It's not to say it's something that you have to do every single month. But before you receive that money, you need to have a plan for it. And just another thing that I should have mentioned when we were looking at the different types of budgets, the zero-based budget assists you because you know that this money is planned for. We only have 8,000, we don't have 20,000, or we don't have 10,000. So on that 8,000, if someone comes and say, they were saying, can I have 500 Rand? You know you don't have 500 Rand because you're planning on the 8,000. But if you earn 10,000 and then there is 2,000 extra that you didn't plan for, then if someone asks for money, you're just like, I have money, and then you give them. And then that takes you away from your financial goals. Okay, that has been sorted. And then there's thank you. I think this spreadsheet is going to help us a lot. I do have one I'm using, but not detailed like this. And then, yeah, so we'll share and then we'll be able to start working this journey together. Someone saying, sorry for lots of questions, you're about to close. How can I plan for unforeseen, like car breakdown without charging my service? how do I create a separate saving for that? Okay, so when it comes to this particular journey, there is what we call emergency fund, where you are providing for those emergencies. And standard rule within our industry is to say 3 to 6 times your monthly expenses should be the figure for your emergency fund. And if you don't know what that figure is, that's why I say we need to start with the budgets. We need to get it right, because some of the decisions come from the information that is there on the budget. So if we're saying our expenses, it's 8,000, so 8 by 3, so that's 24. So you should have 24,000 put aside as an emergency fund. So depending on where you are and what you want to start with most people, when we do our financial planning and walk the journey together, I tell them you can start by putting a month expenses as a target. So if it's 8,000, let's start by building up to the 8,000. And then when we're done, then we can do the third month, instead of just saying, I need 24,000, and then we're like, it's not going to happen. But we need to have emergency fund. So the emergency fund, when you hear about it, it's not something separate. It's you putting a goal to this particular investment that you have, and say this one is for emergency, or the particular saving that we have. So yeah, it's almost 9 o'clock. And then load shedding is gonna do its thing. So I just want to say, even for us as we close, we must go and do our thing. I'm going to share the link to the feedback, and then you will share your email addresses as well after that. And then we'll be able to send you the spreadsheets, and then also welcome you on this particular journey. So in terms of what we do at EmpowerX, we do financial planning, and then we also give financial advice and assist in terms of putting together the financial products that you need. So your life covers, your funeral covers, your retirement annuities, planning when you're going at retirement, the wills, the trust. As I'm sure you've seen a lot of these things that we share on the group. So that's what we do as our core business as a financial services provider. And then we also have coaching and mentorship, where we're walking the journey with you. So with coaching, we charge 500 Rand on a monthly basis. It was 1,000. We've just decided, okay, let's make it 500 a month so that it's affordable, and then we can walk this journey together. And then our consultation fee is 500 Rand. And then we also teach RE. So that's regulatory exams, RE1 and RE5 for those working in the financial services industry. And then so you would have seen our booklets on financial literacy. We've got financial literacy for kids, financial literacy for adults. So for your corporates, if you would like us to come and do financial literacy education, you're most welcome to reach out. Schools, universities,